This is the consequences when we chose the wrong direction. Oh my God. Yes. It is what it is. Make America great.
We're just absolutely fucked as farmers, guys. Everything is so fucked, and I do not see anybody surviving this farm crisis that we're in. Guys, look, one of the best splorn crops that I have ever raised in my life. And because of the tariffs, China will not fucking buy it. And they are the only country in the world other than, well, they are the only country in the world that buys splorn. And so now I'm literally just chopping it and blowing it on the fucking ground because it's fucking useless, it's valueless. There's nothing I can fucking do to it. I am going to need government assistance to make it through this fucking crisis until these tariffs end. Look, I've never raised a splorn crop like this, guys. And this is just fucking heartbreaking to me. I don't know how I'm gonna survive. You know, Trump said he fucking loved us farmers, and here I am just blowing my splorn crop all over the ground. Hopefully he works a deal out where Antarctica and Mars will start buying this splorn and save the farmers. I'm sorry, splorn crop, but you're fucked.
I'm never going to do anything to hurt our farmers.
The One Big Beautiful Bill will also be an incredible victory for American farmers, another group that we did great with, especially family farmers.
Never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate.
I'm foolish enough that I've been at it, like I said, 43 years. I'm, God willing, I can ride the storm out. What I'm really concerned about is my son. You know, I'm thinking, you know, did I do the right thing helping him get into farming? He'd purchased a farm a few years ago, and, you know, making payments, it's tough.
I love the farmers. They're great. They're the greatest. And by the way, they're getting killed now.
They are.
They're getting killed because of this stupid administration.
Even though American farmers are struggling, I'm happy that our president sent Argentina $40 billion. I'm willing to go broke. Ha! Couldn't be prouder. What a time to be alive.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Cayman High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids, and I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers, because I watch how hard they work to get this crop in the ground, and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet, the next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer, and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. The people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values, and that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, you know, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. You know, the Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states, because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's just sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. You know, it's that classic sort of go, go, go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, you know, sustainability is a real problem.
Hey, Trump just got finessed by Argentina and played by China all in one swoop. Let me explain. So the Midwest farming industry is getting killed by Trump's tariff wars, right? Basically, farmers used to sell more than half of their soybeans to China. And as a retaliation of Trump's tariff wars, China hasn't been purchasing none of U.S. soybeans, right? So these MAGA farmers who are on the verge of going bankrupt is now begging Trump for a bailout, like, you know, socialism, that kind of stuff. And what does Trump do? This man responds by giving a $20 billion bailout to the government of Argentina. Why? Because the Argentinian Trump, as dude calls himself, is facing a tough re-election. And, you know, his policies is terrible, country is terrible, all of that, right? And, you know, Mr. American First gives a $20 billion bailout to them, which allows them to then sell soybeans to China at a discounted price. So you helped out the Argentinian competitors, killed your leverage with China. What, like, bro, somebody make this make sense. This man is an idiot.
So we need to talk about this Georgia farmer that did not vote for Donald Trump. And now the county, 60% of the citizens that voted for Donald Trump and whose officials are all Trump supporters, took over 225 acres of his farmland through eminent domain. They've given him 90 days to vacate his cattle and all of his equipment. They've already got the engineering firms and the construction companies showing up on his farmland. He's being literally bulldozed. Not only did the majority of the county vote for Donald Trump, all of the officials behind this decision support Donald Trump. The other entity behind this is Georgia's Department of Transportation, which is also run by Trump supporters. And what's sad is this farmland contains centuries-old pecan groves. They're plowing right through this. And there's not going to be any public jets there. This isn't for public transportation. This is for use by wealthy white millionaires and billionaires who can afford private jets. So this is where I want Georgia taxpayers to pay attention. You're paying for the rich white man's private airport with 47 million of your tax dollars. And it gets even worse. You and I are paying 40 million of it through a grant that Trump's FAA is giving to them. So we're paying for these wealthy white men to have their fun on a private airport and take away the land of a farmer who did not vote for this. He's made it very clear that he's never voted for Donald Trump, that Trump policies have done nothing but hurt his farm and his business, and this is the ultimate pain. And I just have to say, all of you Trump supporters that are all about, we love the farmers, America first, you guys let Jeff down. You let Jeff down. Racism is expensive.
I really feel for farmers who are going through a lot at this particular, this particular season, whereby many farmers have been through a lot when it comes to this production of their land. We talk of tariffs, which have been the main challenge in America, rising prices of fuel, and also shortage of labor. This is something that has really impacted farmers very dearly, because at this particular point we are talking of these farmers who believed in the new government of Donald Trump. They believed a new change that will happen and will transform America to be America how America has always been great. Okay, so they voted for Donald Trump, believing that the changes that will be made will actually help them in growing, in making profit in their land. But in these particular cases, they are trying to cry out loud, calling out Donald Trump. Why did you do this to us? Because they believed, when they vote, they were expecting a lot of changes when it comes to where the market, most of the produce of America, they are always sold outside the country, and they always export them. That's how they make a lot of profit. And farmers work very hard. I can feel for them. Farmers really work so hard when it comes to producing those the products, the produce of the farm. They work so hard. Sometimes the weather also can be a very much challenging factor. Sometimes it doesn't rain. Sometimes we have a lot of this what you call the freezing, the cold periods, whereby winter seasons, whereby crops can easily dry up, or not dry, like they can get what we call they can freeze in the land, in the farm. And that is something that sometimes can be a challenge. Even sometimes it can be summer, too hot, the crops can dry on the farm. And all these challenges the farmers are facing, and including, can you imagine, they tried to vote in the president, who is Donald Trump, trying to hope that things gonna be different, but right now they are crying out loud, and I really feel for them. What do you think, guys, about this particular video? I want you guys to tell me in the comment section. Are you a farmer, or do you how has this affected you in the area that you live? Because this has been a main challenge in America right this particular moment. I know this video that you are watching, most of them are not current videos. They happened last year, but the same thing, even this year, I know there's some farmers who are really going through a lot in this particular point. Or do you think something changed? These videos are somehow last year. So let me know, guys, what you think about this video. Remember, this video belongs to the it's for educational and entertainment purposes, to let you know what's happening around the world and in America. And also, credits belong to the original creators of this video that you are seeing here. Watch to the end. I'll be back with more comments shortly.
Imagine waking up one morning, looking out over the endless fields of Nebraska, the golden sea of soybeans and corn swaying in the wind, and realizing all of it. Every acre, every harvest, every deal you thought was locked in is slipping right through your fingers. That's where Nebraska finds itself right now, staring at the wreckage of promises made by Donald Trump, the man many there once believed was their economic savior. We're getting ready for the first domino to fall. And we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, their governor, Jim Pan, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem. In Nebraska, they had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, they've canceled all the contracts. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. Nebraska is having one of the biggest cases of buyer's remorse in political history. They went all in for Trump, betting their livelihoods, their farms, their communities on his grand promises of prosperity. And what did they get in return? A ticking bankruptcy clock. Governor Jim Fillin is now doing something you don't often see from the tough-talking, chest-thumping Republican crowd. He's begging Washington, begging Trump, begging essentially for someone to swoop in and save Nebraska from the very policies Trump himself unleashed. It's a bit like asking the arsonist to come back with a fire hose after he set your house on fire. Our state has in fact gone bankrupt due to his tariffs and the loss of all of our migrant farm workers. Our state has lost over $500 million. It's so bad that Governor Fillin had to call and ask him for a bailout, and we don't know if he's going to give it to us. My husband and I did used to own a farm here in Nebraska, and thanks to the loss of all the workers, we went bankrupt, and bankruptcies in our state overall are at a record high right now. Nebraska's economy runs on farming, always has. Soybeans, corn, beef, you name it. They supply food to the world. But farming isn't just about tractors and wide skies. It's global. Its contracts with China, with Mexico, with Europe, and Nebraska had those contracts.
Check out how Trump's policies are destroying these red state farmers who voted for him, and we're going to be right back.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, and Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
5 of my customers have committed. That's how serious that this is.
And what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now.
I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work.
That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? It's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people, but what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many of his businesses failed, and those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs, and they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices. And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, the idea that immigration people come here and, they're using our tax dollars. Blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away. And so corporatized farming and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that, the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go? We really don't know. They may rot in the bins.
This is the first time in my life farming that I still have crop in my bins that I can't sell. Basically what we're getting out, a bushel of corn or a bushel of rice, would be like you making $5 an hour and trying to pay your bills at home. Mexico and China are the two biggest rice buyers for the United. They buy more rice off of us than anyone. And when they stop buying rice, we have nowhere to go with the rice. It won't be a trickle down effect. It will be like flushing a toilet if the ag industry collapses. Totally 100% dependent upon the Lord Jesus Christ. I surrender it to Him.
The suicide rate among farmers and ranchers is 3.5 times the national average. As of the last agricultural census, the average debt for a large operation is $1.8 million.
We are very concerned about the current outlook. As a soybean farmer, we are dependent on trade. Right at 50% of the soybeans produced in the United States are exported. China takes more of our soybeans than all other foreign customers combined. So they're a major part of our market, and this trade war is very concerning to us right now.
So let me get this straight. In Mississippi, farmers are about to let food rot.
And not because nobody's hungry, but because nobody wants to buy from America anymore. So down in the Mississippi Delta, they're talking about letting rice crops rot. And not because the soil gave up, it's because there's nowhere to sell this stuff. Why? I know you're not asking why. Because America picked a trade war, slapped tariffs on everything breathing, and then acted shocked when China said, okay, cool, we'll just shop somewhere else. It's like throwing a party, but insulting every guest at the door. And then standing in an empty living room and ask why nobody showed up. And now those same farmers that had their hands out for our taxpayer dollars are just going, we'll just let those crops rot. Rice, food, they're just going to let it rot. And here's the part nobody wants to say. The squeeze on family farms did not happen by accident. This is the long game. Family farms are going to get choked out until Big Ag can swoop in and buy up your family farm. They're going to cash the government checks, and then they're going to call it efficiency. That's not farming. That is foreclosure with overalls on. I just thought that American farmers were going to pull themselves up by their bootstraps because that's what they had been talking about the whole time. But I guess bootstraps don't function when the world stops doing business with you, huh? See, America's learning the hard way that you cannot bully the global economy and still expect a seat at the table. This ain't 1952. And to let the food rot out of spite is not patriotism. That is policy failure with a southern accent.
That's where we end our video. I just want to ask you guys kindly, what do you think about this particular video? Do you think something need to be done immediately? And what's the advice that you guys can give those MAGA farmers who voted for Donald Trump, who believed for the change, and right now things are not working out for them? What was the message that do you guys think they should get, or you can advise them in this particular minute? Let me know in the comment section, guys. And remember, if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed yet, kindly consider subscribing to this amazing channel and give this video a thumbs up, so that, guys, each and every time I do upload a video, you can be able to find it and watch it, because I bring you what's happening in America, what has been happening, and what will happen in America. And that's how we do it in this particular platform. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Stay tuned. Peace, one love. I wish you all the very best, guys. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next video.